International is a big part of our current footprint and is a big part of our future growth plans.
Efficiency cannot come without true globalization, and companies, corporations don't thrive without efficiency. So 10 years down the road, enabled by technology, I see the globalization to be at its best.
I think being agile and being innovative is the best we can really do right now.
Good morning and welcome to Growing Global, the 2020 Associated Industries of Massachusetts International Business Symposium. Today also celebrates the 25th anniversary of the AIM International Business Council. I'm Michael Holly. I'm excited to be here today to celebrate both AIM International and AIM members on an impressive 25 years. AIM, Associated Industries of Massachusetts, has been helping companies across the Commonwealth, from the big guys to mom and pop shops, for more than 100 years. It's an employer association that believes together we can create a healthy economic future for all. AIM and its 3,500 members advocate for fair, pro-growth legislation, provide resources to businesses for training, recruitment, and HR consulting, and connect people and organizations through a variety of events. Today we celebrate 25 years of AIM's International Business Council. This group supports companies across the Commonwealth as they take on the challenges and opportunities of the global market. We will begin with a look back at the history of global business in Massachusetts. We will then meet some thought leaders, hear success stories from executives in a variety of industries, and take a look at the future. Where are we headed? Before we get to that, the Executive Director of the AIM International Business Council, Kristen Rupert, is here to share more about the organization.
So AIM helps member companies do international business and helps them grow globally. We connect people with resources, we introduce them to key contacts, we essentially help plug companies into the international market. We're fortunate that at AIM we have a whole team of people with expertise in different areas. On a daily basis, on an hourly basis, we are helping member companies with all kinds of questions. We help companies of all sizes, so we've got tiny companies that may have 5 or fewer employees, we have large multinational global companies, and everything in between. And these are companies from all parts of Massachusetts. Generally what we find is companies aren't alone. If they have an issue or a problem, there's probably somebody else experiencing it as well. And that's a benefit to having 3,500 members. We speak with a voice that represents all those companies. Fortunately, Massachusetts is pretty well known internationally. We create, through services companies and manufacturers, high quality, high value products, and that is recognized around the world. One of the things that a lot of experts like to point out, and I like this phrase, is that people buy from people. Relationships are important. We've been fortunate that AIM and a number of AIM member companies have participated in trade missions with the current governor and the previous governor over the last decade or so. And these are typically a group of business leaders who would be accompanied and, in fact, led by the governor, going to a foreign country to meet with business leaders and political leaders there. We always say if you're considering going into a new market or interested in a particular country, go there, because there's no substitution for being there and having a face-to-face experience. Obviously, we can't do that right now, but the time will come when we can do that again. With the COVID situation that many companies are dealing with right now, we understand and acknowledge these are challenging times. Companies have pivoted, they've innovated, they've changed because they've had to. I think this demonstrates the resourcefulness of Massachusetts companies and also is an indication of why Massachusetts is so highly regarded around the world. So really we're celebrating not just the last 25 years, but the whole history of global trade and global business in Massachusetts and looking ahead.
Thank you, Kristen. Today we are delighted to celebrate 25 years of success for the AIM International Business Council and for AIM members doing business internationally. But global trade has a much longer tradition here in Massachusetts, spanning hundreds of years of history. Let's take a look back.
It started in colonial times with cod and rum.
Cod was the most lucrative trade good in colonial New England. It was harvested in fisheries offshore, giving Cape Cod its name. Cod was shipped throughout the Old World, creating trade networks and cross-cultural exchanges between the Bay Colony and far-flung countries. Cod was also the primary food source for merchant and naval ships. While cod has given way today to other fish, Boston, Gloucester, and New Bedford continue to be the most important fishing ports on the East Coast. Massachusetts established itself as a global trade center not only with fish, but with another vital commodity, rum. In the mid-17th century, Boston became the center of rum manufacturing, turning raw material, molasses from the Caribbean, into a product that was shipped around the world. Business boomed until the Great Molasses Flood in 1919. Trade with China emerged in the late 18th century. China clipper ships, launched out of Salem, Newburyport, and Boston, dominated trade as the fastest commercial sailing vessels in the world. This created an incredible amount of wealth, used to build mansions in Salem and Boston's Back Bay, and even fund institutions like the Peabody Essex Museum and the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. The 19th century brought the Industrial Revolution. Companies in mill towns across the state, from Pittsfield to Fall River to Lowell to Waltham, made apparel, footwear, and paper from wool, cotton, and leather. Many mills sourced materials from overseas, places like South America, Australia, and New Zealand, and shipped finished goods around the world. As Massachusetts prospered, growth in academia followed. Many Bay State universities and colleges were founded in the mid to late 1800s. Today, these institutions educate the best and brightest students from across the globe. The intellectual capital coming out of our colleges and universities has become one of our major exports and has made Massachusetts a center for knowledge, innovation, and the services that drive a global economy. Today, Massachusetts is considered a global stronghold for biotech, robotics, engineering, venture capital, asset management, healthcare, and dozens of other sectors. Our educated and highly skilled workforce has helped Massachusetts attract investment from around the world. That certainly is a strong history, and Massachusetts will undoubtedly continue to play a vital role in the global economy, which in turn will spur growth here at home. AIM's International Business Council is committed to supporting companies that are taking on global challenges, keeping Massachusetts in the forefront of global trade. This is not only the legacy of Massachusetts, it is our future. One organization that works closely with AIM to ensure that future international growth is possible is Massport. They play a huge role in connecting members of the Commonwealth to the rest of the world. They make transportation for people, goods and resources seamless so businesses can operate efficiently. CEO Lisa Whelan explains their role and success.
We own and operate Logan Airport, as well as Worcester Regional Airport and Hanscom Field. We also have a port division that is comprised of Conley Container Terminal and our cruise operations. And then we also have a very robust real estate portfolio in South Boston and East Boston. But fundamentally, what is it we do? We connect people, goods, and businesses to the global economy. At Logan Airport, we do that in two different ways. So obviously, we offer international nonstop flights to our travelers, as well as many nonstop domestic flights. Logan also provides a role for air cargo. So goods can be flown across the globe into Boston Logan and then make their way to their final destinations here in Massachusetts. In the port, Conley Container Terminal is New England's only full-service container terminal. We offer service on two major trade lanes. We have service on ships coming and going to Asia, as well as North Europe. So the Port of Boston is a hidden gem and a hidden part of the Massachusetts economy. So the things that we use each and every day, be it the furniture in our homes or the food we might eat on our dinner table, many of those things are not produced locally here. They come from other places around the globe, and they get here via ship, coming in a container. Those containers are unloaded at Conley Container Terminal, and then they're trucked to their destination. Logan Airport generates over $16 billion a year in annual economic impact and supports over 100,000 direct jobs. Similarly, the Port of Boston Boston is responsible for over $8 billion of annual economic impact, and similarly supports more than 8,000 direct jobs. These assets are vital to the Massachusetts economy, and they're a significant economic engine for the Commonwealth as a whole. Boston is actually one of 4 hubs across the country for seafood processing. And so we have a number of seafood processors on our property in South Boston. So you could have some fish that is flown into Logan, it is trucked into South Boston, processed, and flown out same day to another state, another destination, and it ends up being a piece of salmon on someone's dinner plate that night. Similarly, fish can be flown in, processed in South Boston, and then frozen and sent out via container via Conley Container Terminal. So this is another important part of the economic engine for Massachusetts that is a part of the Port of Boston, but connects both our aviation and our maritime business lines. AIM has been a great partner in connecting us with the Massachusetts business community. But what we find really important about AIM's role is they don't just connect us with the big organizations. They also connect us with small and medium-sized businesses to understand their needs and their issues, particularly as it relates to global trade or what flights and routes might be important to them as they try to grow their businesses and contribute to the Massachusetts economy.
Massport has always been an important piece of the global puzzle and will continue to play a vital role in facilitating international commerce. We want to take a moment here to thank today's sponsors. Massachusetts is essential for global business in many industries: manufacturing, higher education, technology, pharma, defense, and so many more. No matter the company size, we see global relationships thriving. Let's take a look at a few standouts.
Globalization is such an interesting thing now because it's almost something that we don't really even have to think about anymore. It is. This is where we are.
Bill Hines is Managing Director of Interprint, a designer and printer for the laminate industry. The now Japanese-owned company has found roots here in Western Mass.
Pittsfield was the first location outside of Germany within the Interprint group, and since that time, Interprint has expanded into Malaysia, China, Poland, Russia, Italy, and Brazil. We are able to use our resources that we have in Europe and in Asia when there's these global companies and customers that we have, so that we can actually utilize our knowledge from those other locations to help us serve them here.
Another company maximizing international relationships is Ocean Spray. They rely on a growing season for their cranberry yield, so having locations across the globe helps with that.
You know, it's nice to have growers in the regions that, we could have counter-cyclical seasonal patterns. So that explains, Chile, they're different than the Northern Hemisphere for sure. So in South America, there's a different harvest season. So that is advantageous. But the other part is having grower areas that could be having different years as it relates to just Mother Nature.
This idea of multinational is not just for companies. It's critical for universities as they work to educate our future innovators and leaders.
Northeastern is in the process of trying to become a true multinational. By that, I mean it actually puts roots in many parts of the world and then connects these different nodes and locations in ways that you can do research and teaching and education that you couldn't do if you were simply tied to one location.
Ravi Ramamurthy, director of the Center for Emerging Markets at Northeastern, explains that in the past few years, the university has opened campuses across the U.S., but also in Toronto, Vancouver, and London.
I see a future in which there will be more campuses in more parts of the world. And each of these campuses then gives us a local presence, a connection to the local business community and to society at large, connection to local academic institutions and policymakers. So we can connect with all of these players and actors much more effectively by having a global footprint.
While New Balance is a well-known footwear brand headquartered here in Massachusetts, you may be familiar with their design center in Lawrence. Their global footprint is just as important. CEO and President Joe Preston explains.
Well, it's been a very important part of our growth and really who we are. And the business has grown significantly since Jim Davis bought it in 1972. And one of the first things he did was to go out and build relationships abroad, particularly in some key parts around the world, Japan, for example. And, you know, those seeds that were sown along the way have helped us to develop businesses all around the globe. And today, approximately 65% of our global revenue is done outside of the U.S.
Relationships are critical in any successful business connection, and Raytheon Technologies, an aerospace and defense company, knows that.
The Patriot system have protected not only the United States, but 16 other countries that have procured our product. And we also partner with those countries in order to modernize and upgrade our capabilities, so the benefit there is mutual. Many of our programs are known around the world. The crown jewels around defense technology will always be designed, developed, and manufactured in the United States. But at the same time, our international partnerships, cooperation, and advancing the localization efforts in these allied countries are also key priorities for us and our strategic imperative for our business growth.
And most companies are looking to grow, like Dell Technologies. They're headquartered here in the U.S., but they still need to connect worldwide.
The United States is our #1 global market. It makes up about half of our overall sales, but we need to be able to grow our business in the other 170 markets that we do business in around the world to be able to not only grow, but be a global leader. And we can only do that if we have free and fair trade, because it's essential to our company, our employees around the world, and our customers who rely on affordable technology for productivity and growth.
Rachelo Tool and Die Design develop and manufacture blow molding machinery. Based in Fitchburg, they started exporting in the 60s. Today they export to over 40 countries, their largest being Mexico.
We have representatives in Mexico that we've been working with since the early 1990s, and we regularly attend trade shows in Mexico City. That kind of interaction with the representatives and developing relationships there is what continues to make us a partner in supporting business there.
Kathy and her siblings carry on their grandfather's business, and while they might be small, they are mighty.
The biggest thing about international trade is not to be intimidated by it. My grandfather had a notebook, and on the very front page of his notebook, it said, "Fear no task." And it's a motto that we've adopted and still live by to this day.
So incredible to hear these examples and see the success from so many companies. Later, we'll hear from more leaders in the Commonwealth. But now, I want to introduce you to an AIM International Business Council board member, Ekkanee Ofedile. He has been on the board for 7 years, worked for a number of member companies, and has now opened his own consulting firm, the Crosswater Group. Ekkanee is an expert in sales and marketing in the global space with innovative strategies and, again, strong relationships.
Success comes in a variety of forms, but I think the one factor that is constant across companies, no matter the size, is the amount of time and investment that these companies have to make in international commerce. You have to plant seeds for many years before you begin to harvest. For the past 20 years, I've been involved in international business in Massachusetts. First as part of the international leadership team for a private manufacturer with operations all over the world, and then with a small-owned family business where I played a lead role in expanding the international presence into markets like Korea and Italy. and Japan. And then as an entrepreneur with my own business, working with a variety of international suppliers and exporters in Massachusetts. And then for the past 7 years, I've been part of the International Business Council at AIM, which has really broadened my experiences with international commerce. As part of the work that we've done on the International Business Council at AIM, we've worked with manufacturers of all sizes to help start their international business. I've been in the footwear industry for pretty much the last 20 years. And in the old days, we deemed every market to be a market just based on you have people and they have feet, so we can sell them shoes. And that was the easy way to look at it. Whereas in today's world, it's not just about having the consumer, it's having the tools to get your brand or your product from point A to point B. Living in America and having access to all the tools, be it access to capital, infrastructure, well-developed ports, import and export laws, it's really great to be able to take that learning and apply it to trying to do the same thing from less developed regions of the world. I think growing up outside the US, spending the first 16, 17 years of my life living in West Africa, have really shaped my outlook on what doing business in international should look like and what doing business in third world countries or in places with challenges, how it can be successful. When others think things are impossible, I'm usually more optimistic, having seen it done before and having seen the impact of, be it microloans to small businesses or just how quickly technology can help scale services and goods across the world. The AIM International Business Council has been a trusted advocate for many years for companies of all sizes to make sure that they're going about their international business the right way.
What an incredible perspective, Ekkanee. Thank you for joining us from London this morning. Now we want to share more stories of success from business leaders across the Commonwealth. It's not just the international relationships and reach that contribute to the global success. Sometimes it's what's right in our backyards.
Well, we're fortunate where we live. Boston and Massachusetts in general, the amount of universities that are here really create quite an environment for employers such as ourselves.
A diverse company is a very strong company, and here at Raytheon Technologies, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a strategic imperative for our company. And being here in Massachusetts, part of this community, it allows us great access to diverse talent pools. Massachusetts is very culturally diverse, and a lot of people from around the globe call Massachusetts home.
And we love Boston for a few reasons. First and foremost, the availability of the skilled workforce. Manufacturing of blades and razors is extremely complicated. It requires highly skilled individuals, which we have in Boston. As a matter of fact, some of the products we make even today, we can only make them in Boston because of the skills required. And then we ship them all over the world. And the second one is the innovation ecosystem. We have access to world-class partners, suppliers, industry, academia. Innovation is our lifeblood.
One institution that is helping to build a diverse and talented new generation of innovators is Northeastern.
Northeastern is in the education business, and for almost since inception, it has taken a particular way of educating students, and that is what we call the co-op model, in which students take on full-time 6-month paid employment 2 or 3 times typically before they graduate. And so they have the opportunity to apply what they learn in the classroom in the real world and bring the real world back into the classroom. It's wonderful for the companies if they end up hiring our students, because when you decide you want to enter India, it helps if you have on your staff and your team in the US people who are from India or from Mexico or from any part of the world. And when you have to open up in those countries, the people who are from those countries, but I've also lived and worked in the US and understand the US context and the US company, they can be much more effective in helping you get into those markets. the synergy between academia and practitioners in the large global companies, many of them based in Massachusetts. Some of those relationships have come because of our association with AIM.
AIM serves companies of all sizes, all industry, and all areas of the Commonwealth.
They have a strong presence in Western Mass. They don't forget about us out here. We are part of the Commonwealth's business community, and they recognize that.
As a small business, we don't have departments of legal or departments of multiple people handling HR. So sometimes one person may wear many hats. So in the case of having AIM to support small businesses like Rochelo, they are able to assist us where we might not have that full capacity.
And they've always been a really great partner to us in Massachusetts. Not only do they have a very skilled and knowledgeable team, they're always the first organization in our inbox with exactly the information we may need. And this year it's been a lot of information very quickly, and they are always the first ones to show up.
AIM's leadership has always excelled at driving collaboration and solution-oriented initiatives in their advocacy for manufacturing in Massachusetts businesses. And as a Boston-based global company, we're proud to highlight their 25-year anniversary.
Thank you to everyone for sharing their stories. AIM is proud of their member companies for the ways they have innovated and grown over the years. AIM looks forward to helping even more businesses grow globally in the future. Joining us now to talk about what comes next, our CEO, John Regan, and AIM International Business Council Board Chair, Ben Schwartz.
I think the International Business Council is an example of what AIM does best. So we have large companies that are in the space already who understand the importance of global trade and international business relations. And what they're able to do is, by leading with their example, help smaller companies get into that space.
We've always sought to be the voice of those small and large companies as they grow globally. We give out awards every year with the objective of showing the importance of this success to Massachusetts, but also to show companies that are our members that you too can do that, and here's how this success was achieved.
I think the most important thing is the ability of AIM to bring people together. In the 18 months that I've been AIM's president and CEO, we've had two fairly significant events. One was the visit of the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, who was here about a year ago. And then after that, we had the United States Ambassador from Mexico visit. When dignitaries come to the United States and request a meeting with business people, more often than not, they ask that AIM be the convener of those events. And for our members, it's an awesome opportunity to be able to get together with people they might not otherwise ever have the chance to meet. As we celebrate the 25th anniversary of this function, or this program that we offer, very much looking forward to continuing it. It's such an important thing right now. I think there's a fear that with the global pandemic that we're all working our way through right now, that there'll be a retrenchment and perhaps some backing away from international activity. I personally think that would be a mistake. It's important for companies, and particularly AIM members, to expand their markets and work through the challenges of operating in this current environment. I think now more than ever, it's critical.
Boston is a city, for example, that punches above its weight in the world. It is a hugely influential place. Massachusetts is a big source of ideas and new developments that have improved the world. And I see the AIM International Business Council being in the forefront of getting that message out. Global growth is good for us, it's good for you, it's good for your society.
Thank you, John and Ben, and thank you all for joining us for Growing Global, AIM's International Business Symposium and 25th anniversary celebration. I'd like to also thank the sponsors of today's program for their support. I'm Michael Holly. Have a great day.